Hello, and welcome to step 3 in our 7 steps to heal our relationship with nature. Hopefully, you've still been enjoying the gratitude and nature connection practices and following on from last week with the different perspectives. This week, we're looking at what a healthy relationship would look like and also understanding and values. So, I've put some suggestions and just some basic ideas sketched out, but this is really very much about your ideas and your sense and your conversation with nature about what a healthy relationship would look like and perhaps understanding what nature's values might look like. So, just starting with what a healthy relationship might look like, and there are lots of things. It's perhaps easiest to start from the point of view of what our human relationships are like and what works really well in a human relationship, and then seeing how those translate to a relationship with nature. Some of the things that I picked up for myself were things like making time for one another and also sort of thinking of one another, this kind of idea of consideration for one another, so that whenever you make a decision or do something, you're kind of keeping in mind the people or nature that you care about. And making time for one another is a big one for me. I've shared a lot on how I became so disconnected with nature, and actually it's very easy to get kind of caught up in the daily to-do lists and running out of daylight hours and things, and it can be really easy to find that the day's gone by and I've really not connected with nature very much at all. So that's something for me is important. And this brings us on to the idea of values, and these are unique to all of us. Our set of values will be different, but we'll have some common shared values. So a common one might be things like family, and a particular worth ethic may be sense of fairness or justice. Those are a fairly sort of typical themes around values. But what your values are and the things that really matter to you will be very individual. So it's worth taking some time and really exploring these, maybe journaling on them. That there are all sorts of different ways, depending on what works for you, that you could explore this. There are lots of online resources, lots of things designed for coaches and things, but available to the general public that an internet search should find. So I've found this really very useful. One of the things that you may notice is that sometimes in certain situations, two values might come into conflict with one another. So, for instance, a family value might come into conflict with spending time helping on an environmental issue because you're not spending so much time with your family. But on the other hand, it could be complementary. So one of the things that's important to me is that our planet is looked after and that we're kind of guardians for future generations of children. So in that sense, the two values sit nicely together, even if at times it might take some of my time away from my family. So that's a lot to explore, and it's really a course in itself. But it's just a start to kind of consider those things and to think about how they fit with your relationship with nature. What elements of it them are in tune, in alignment with your relationship with nature? What things are in sort of maybe possible points of conflict? And where have you found it more difficult to sort of live in alignment with your values? Where have you found it very easy? And these can lead on to your sort of your whys, the reasons why you might do things or why you might give some energy or time to those activities. So there's an awful lot in this step, depending on how far you want to take it. And then the other piece was about understanding and thinking in terms of maybe what nature's values might be. So I came up with a few from my own sort of experiences and perception, but it might well be that you see different things and see things quite differently to the way I do, and that's really important. It's not about me kind of dictating what they are. These are just some kind of starting points for you. It's about your conversation with nature. It's about what you go out and see and feel, particularly feel that this is kind of coming more from the sort of heart space than the head space. So it would be absolutely lovely to hear something about those conversations and to hear some of the things that you've discovered. So I look forward to that.